The parents will just be interested in the white coat that the doctor wears, not knowing the sufferings that the doctor goes through.
Or is there anything that you regret?
He was a minister then. I don't want to mention his name. He was saying there are 52 places where we could mine diamonds.
Greetings and welcome to the 20th episode of the Reconnect podcast and TV show. Today we have the distinguished guest, Dr. Mohale Charles Makhube. Greetings and welcome to the podcast.
You're welcome.
This episode is brought to you by Njays Family Restaurant, your go-to family spot nestled in Masuru West, Lesotho, serving up smiles and delicious bites for all ages. Visit Njays Family Restaurant today.
I started my journey. I'll start with the high school because primary was really a confused setup. I did my high school at St. Stephen's High School in Mohale, where I did the 5 years and got a second class pass in Form 5. Then proceeded to the National University of Lesotho, where I did natural sciences.
In Eleka
1977. August 77, that's when I started my my university education. I completed in 1981 and worked as a health planner in the Ministry of Health of Lesotho, government of Lesotho, for 2 years, 28 months. Then proceeded to do my medical training in Zambia, where I completed in 1990. Then from 1990, I did my housemanship at Phalali Hospital in the South Africa Free State province. It was a 1-year program. Then I came back to Lesotho. I couldn't get a job in the government of Lesotho because of reasons I couldn't fathom. And then I started a practice in Kachasnek. Kachasnek is a rural district in Lesotho where I had a lot of exposure into rural life in terms of practicing medicine. Then in 1994, I decided to go and do postgraduate in South Africa, only to find that it wouldn't work because of the apartheid system that was that was happening at that time. So I came back 1995 October and opened a surgery in Mohale, which is my hometown. And then I've been lucky because my surgery became a clinic, which allows me to do operations and all that. And now age is catching up. So I've shifted to real estate because I can see that the medical practice needs when I'm still strong enough to run it. I can't run it like real estate where income can still go on without me being active. So this is where I am. I started real estate in 2018 up to date. I don't know whether there are questions.
Wow. So along the journey from how no kala fleletsa hana tje the challenges tse leng wa kopana le tsona tse measure e ka ba difeng? Visit TM Properties and Real Estate Investment Company. They are located at Medcash Complex. Their services include property evaluation, site inspection, property survey, property investments, property management, property rentals. They buy and sell property. Visit today.
Not much, because I always say every challenge there's a solution, and I always say never live for tomorrow what needs to be done today. So that's the attitude I've adopted throughout, and it has helped me a lot because I've managed to cross the rivers that I thought were impossible to cross. So I don't really have, I never really had challenges. The only small snack was that, was when I didn't have a theater. I was interested in maternity service. I didn't have a theater. I depended on government hospital services in terms of operative deliveries. But the attitude was not the same like mine in terms of how to approach maternity problems. So, but I managed in 2007 to build a theater, which have been working until now. So that was the only hurdle that I had, with its own small problems here and there. But once I build the theater, I'm independent, I make my own decisions, and my patients are happy.
So what can you say to young people probably who are getting high school or who are in varsity in health programs? Any advice to them? Because the landscape in case of unemployment, the challenge that's for the thinking at all.
I always tell young people that when you get into a profession, you get married to it. And you don't, like in natural world, you don't just marry anybody. You have to convince yourself that you love that profession that you get married to. I've seen very brilliant young people who come into a medical profession only to find that it's not what they wanted. So medical practice becomes a problem to them, to the extent that they think they can always run away by going to the Ministry of Health headquarters, which is overwhelmed with numbers, because they can't afford to be called at night or in a bad weather or during festive season to go back to work. We never leave, in this profession, we never leave what needs to be done for the next day. So people have to know. They have to investigate or find out what it involves before they get into it. Because once you are in it, you find that it is frustrating. Just like it's a festive season now, when people are happy, they're dancing around, only to find that you are supposed to be on call and very busy in the hospital. So it's something that young people never look at. And the other thing is that it involves dealing with another human being, like unlike the mechanic who will be dealing with a car. So you can't say, I'm knocking off, I'm leaving the patient on the theater table, for instance, if I give an example. You have to finish it, And unlike the car mechanic who will put on a jack and see the vehicle tomorrow, in this profession you don't leave work unfinished. So this is something that young people are not aware of, or they ignore. It's not a question of saying, I'm going to get a job once I'm a doctor. In fact, these days, they sometimes get stranded because there are no job opportunities available. And this I strongly think it's because our training department, which is manpower training program, is not organized. For instance, at any given time, they're supposed to know how many students are completing, how many students need to be enrolled in the medical schools. But most of the time, you find that they only see you when you arrive, and then you get frustrated because they won't be ready to absorb you. And it's after so many years of training, it is very disheartening to find that your government wasn't expecting you. And a lot of people go through that, having to stay at home and be reminded every day by your neighbors that you are a doctor. It is a very painful experience.
So what advice can you give to stakeholders responsible, maybe the government, the organizations that are thusanang hore the challenges tsena di ske tsa ipheta le ka moso?
Unlock new worlds at the Connection LS at Maseru Mall for only 35 Maluti. Experience the thrill of virtual reality. Whether you are chasing excitement or exploring incredible landscapes, it's an adventure you won't want to miss. Step into the future of fun today. 9D virtual reality game machines available at Maseru Mall next to game stores.
It is easy, very easy, because these students who are in the medical programs, they are known what year they are and when they're supposed to complete. But I've had an experience of asking the top manpower development lady whether she knew who are completing in that particular year. And she talked about the software, computer software. People have stopped writing things down. These people are not even many, probably about 200 per annum. But to say you can't write those many names and you have to wait for a computer to do what, it is unreasonable, really, and it is disheartening to find that people are not interested in their job, and to know that even medical students have to think of going on strike, for instance, because their allowances haven't been paid. And there are so many, there are so few of them, I think it's just this organization. The government has to pick up their socks and do something about this. It's not a difficult job once there are people who deal with it.
So what can you say to parents ba nang le bana ba ntse ba le dikolong, ba bang ba ntse ba le bo high school ka bo primary, hore ba advise bo bana hore ba kgethe di-career jwang?
Unfortunately, it is not the parents who are supposed to do that. When we were in high school, there was a body that used to advise us on career. They used to call it career guidance. It's something that is professional, and it needs to be done by people who know how to do it. The parents will just be interested in the white coat that the doctor wears, not knowing the sufferings that the doctor goes through, or the epaulets that the nurse will be wearing. So, but I always encourage the students to meet with people in those professions before they commit themselves to join them. Find out how easy it is to get a job, and find out what that job entails. Because if you go into some of these professions, you find that it is very difficult to get a job. And once you get a job, you find that it's too much for you. And that's where people started going into addictions of some sort because they are overwhelmed with the work that they are doing. So I encourage the parents they can support, but they can't be the ones advising because they're not skilled in the advice that they're supposed to give to the young ones.
Ebe Lesotho re na le unemployment rate e hodimo, and ka nako nngwe o tlo fumana hore the youth ba leka ho itshebetsa hore ba leke ho survive, but ka nako nngwe ebe dikgwebo tsa bona ha di kgone ho hola haholoholo hore di ka ba sustainer for long run. Na ho na le advice o ka ba fang yona hore ba shebe dintho ka perspective e feng?
I always think it is very easy in a rich country that we have to make chances available for everybody. I always say family planning was intended to enable the family to use the resources for everybody. Nature has planned us. People always talk about us being 2 million. But if in December you go to the border posts and see how many people come back to Lesotho, that's when you start wondering how many people are left in Lesotho at any given time. In between those times, the Easter, the festive season. So I don't see why, if we are organized, if we talk in large groups and find the solutions to our problems, why we shouldn't be able to help the young people to help them, to support them, to be able to produce. Most of the food we eat comes from across the border, from our neighboring country. I don't see why that food can be produced in Lesotho by the very young people who are jobless. It's just that we don't provide them with the market. And when we talk about the market, it's for the chosen few. I'm sorry to say. The market is for the chosen few because there are still people who are producing in small quantities, but they have a market. That if we could provide the market for everybody, we'd be able to produce food for the whole country. We'd be able to stop this flow of young people into South Africa looking for greener pastures. Because the greener pastures are here in Lesotho. As long as we support, get organized, talk in large numbers, and come up with solutions to our problems. In fact, we don't have problems. We just need organization. Once we get organized, we should be able to start producing food here in Lesotho. Don't tell me about the farms in South Africa. We can produce in small quantities. I don't see why 1 hectare, we can produce carrots on a 1 hectare land. And fortunately we have water everywhere here in Lesotho. It's also not organized. If it was organized, everybody would be producing food.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Looking for fast, reliable internet? Visit Jenny Internet Lesotho today.
The important thing for all of us in Lesotho is to source out the talent that we have, organize the sitting. There was a business council in the past which faded away without producing any result. I think if it could have been followed up, and we, with the genuine discussions, would be able to have come up with problems to all our solutions. I mean, solutions to all our problems in this country. We're a small country that has got a big potential. Somebody was telling me that there are 52 places. In fact, he was a minister then. I don't want to mention his name. He was saying there are 52 places where we could mine diamonds. And if there are 52 places where we could mine diamonds, I'm not saying we should stick to diamonds, but I'm saying there are 5 diamond mines. We never hear, for instance, the annual production. We've got water. God has blessed us with water. I was surprised one day when I found that there's a place in South Africa, Clarence, somewhere there, where they are counting the number of liters that are crossing into South Africa. Why is it not done in Lesotho? And we never have a picture of how much the cost of water is, the price that we sell it to South Africa. And South Africa needs our water. I think that will be all.
Well, what inspires you and what inspired you to pursue or to be in your career?
In medical, it is something that makes me laugh all the time. I wanted a short course like engineering, 4 years or things like that. I was also tempted to join the Ministry of Agriculture, but that time I was involved with somebody who was always dying to do medicine. So since I completed before her, she recommended that I should proceed to go and do medicine. I was in love. I just had to. Only to find that, well, there were some instincts when I was very, very young, even before I started school. I used to like operating on the Megoditswane lizards. And it came when I was in medical school. That's when I discovered that I also like to do surgical. How do you say? To be in surgery.
Yes.
So it's something that I followed. It's unfortunate because of our small country that I couldn't proceed to do postgraduate. But I'm still okay, and I've changed. Like I'm saying, I've said I've gone to real estate, which I think I have to give it all my energies,
Or is there anything that you regret, like the medical practicing nako e ngata haholoholo?
No. I want. Yes, it takes a long time, but most of the time when you finish, you still need more time to learn. And fortunately, we learn from the patients. So I don't regret anything because you finish, you complete your studies, you come back, you work under supervision, which is internship. From there, you're going to learn a lot from the patients. They're going to really teach you a lot. A lot of our experience comes from the patients. Even in our exams, we are tested on patients. But once we have finished, we have to come and learn from the patients.
So how do you balance like the personal life and the medical practice?
Very difficult, because you have to sacrifice most of the time. Like I'm saying, it is said that the civil servants are supposed to be on call all the time. But our calls are written down. most of the people complete their work, retire from government employment without being on call. But with us, it's written on a monthly basis. So it's not something that you can avoid. It's something that really tortures a lot of people, mostly people who are lazy.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Business Fox Media is Lesotho's top platform for investment insights. They unlock opportunities in finance, mining, energy, and more, connecting decision makers with key sectors to drive economy. Get exclusive business insights and stay ahead in Lesotho's fast-paced economy.